So you ready to start?
Oh, I am so ready, Nat. You wouldn't believe it. I'm ready like an American Ninja Warrior.
Well, that's the perfect start. Welcome everybody to Warrior Wednesdays, where we talk about everyday people who are facing challenges in life with unbelievable courage and strength, like this young man who's joining me right now, Andrew Hain. Andrew, it's such a pleasure to have you here. I love your enthusiasm.
Thank you, Matt. I'm just really happy to be here. I know I have not only the heart of an American Ninja Warrior, but also the soul of a Titan and the mind of a mental samurai.
Well,
After all,
you are the biggest game show fan I've ever met, and that was really how we bonded. Do you remember the date we first met?
April 20th, 2017 at the Arthritis Foundation Gala at the Toby Theater.
Okay, so that gives you some insight into how amazing this young man's mind is. And when we met, I think one of the first things you said to me that struck me was you said, "I'm Andrew and I have autism." And you've been so outspoken about this. You are such an advocate for autism. And I just thought it was unbelievable. You're on social media, you're talking about autism, you're raising awareness for it. So let me ask you this. When do you first remember being told that autism was something you were living with?
Well, when I was first diagnosed at age 3.5, but my parents didn't tell me about it because apparently I wasn't old enough to know about it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mom told me when I was around 8, it was late 2000, early 2001, I asked her why she was doing all these things for an organization called Foothill Autism Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
And she said it's because they know people with autism. My parents know people with autism.
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked her who in particular, and she said someone in this family. And I immediately concluded that it was me.
Mm-hmm.
First heard about autism, I literally got all choked up, and I was asking, what is autism? And she said it's a disability, a developmental disability that causes people to think differently than their neurotypical peers. And so I thought to myself, I think about game shows, I think about Disney movies. Oh my gosh, this is what I have. Autism is something that I actually have.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked my mom if it's something you can die from. Thankfully, she said no. But since then, I have been raising, as you said, I've been raising awareness for and acceptance for autism. And most recently, I started using a motto, which is very simply, understand me, support me, accept me, love me for who I am.
And that is so beautiful. And it's on your Twitter. And I love it because you are the walking embodiment of it. So that's what's interesting. You talk about your neurotypical peers. And obviously this is all you've known. This is just how Andrew is. When you though, how would you let people know who aren't familiar with autism, how your mind might work differently?
Well, as you know, I like talking about game shows a lot. And so, I often tell people who haven't really had experience with autism what it means. Like I said, it makes people think differently. It pretty much, it means you like talking about things that are of your interest, rather than picking up on a conversation that's already going on.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm sorry, please continue.
No, I think that was it. So it's pretty much, like I said, when you join in a conversation, you may want to talk about things you like rather than what they're talking about.
So you're unbelievably social, though you're certainly never one to shy away from conversations that I've seen. So how have you learned to cope with this?
How have I learned to cope with autism?
Yes, again, to me, I see you out there being so bold socially and being a fantastical conversationalist. Is that something you've worked on consciously to develop?
Oh, yes. Well, in a few years ago, I learned how to appropriately join in and step out of conversations in a program that's called Peers. It's the program for the education and enrichment of relational skills. It teaches basic social skills like how to appropriately have a conversation, how to let the other person speak, as well as other things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very good for people with autism because when they're out in the real world, it may be hard for them at first, but very soon it becomes, as I like to say, a piece of cheese.
A piece of cheese, huh?
Yes.
Well, so you've done a lot of work with charity and raising awareness. And when you talk to other people who have autism, particularly maybe younger children, what insights do you offer them?
I think the best thing that I would offer to younger people with autism would be, there are going to be some bullies and haters.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever come across them and they try to bring you down, the only people that they're actually bringing down are themselves.
That's fantastic. And is that something growing up that you experienced where people would treat you differently or bully you?
I don't think I've had any major bullying, actually.
That's great.
I've been telling people about it, and they've been very accepting of me, and I am just very thankful to have them.
So let me ask you that, Andrew. You are so outspoken about it. And was that a conscious choice for you to really own this and to be such an advocate for autism?
Absolutely. I mean, not many people have, not many people have the courage to talk about autism.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like of course there aren't enough people who have autism that can talk about it because they're mostly nonverbal.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks to new technology, we know a lot of families with nonverbal children and young adults, and they use iPads to communicate what they're saying. And very similarly, people with cerebral palsy, like I remember Emmeline Sturpey, who Jesse Lebrecht used to care for, uses a computer to communicate.
Yes.
So very similarly, people with autism, I think it's important that if they're comfortable with it, I'm not forcing them, but if it's something they like talking about, which like I do, then go for it.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And by the way, again, credit to you for realizing Emmeline Sturpey and Jesse Flex Lebrecht on American Ninja Warrior. So that's one of the things that is truly impressive, as you demonstrated earlier when you recalled the exact date that we met. So that seems to be such a gift, this unbelievable recall. So do dates just come naturally to you and some of these facts, the retention of those?
Yeah, I remember lots of dates. Like mostly the dates that I met celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when game shows premiered and ended for those that did. I just think that it's amazing that I'm able to remember these things. Like not everyone really cares about these dates.
Right.
And apparently I do.
It's really incredible. And so, one of the first, what's really interesting to me is just in my lifetime, to see how the understanding and awareness of autism has changed. And I think for me, the first time I remember seeing autism widely talked about was when it appeared in pop culture in Rain Man, in the movie. So,
and it had some game show references, as a matter of fact.
Of course. So when you watch that movie, when you see, to me, that was really the first that I can recall, the first time autism was really talked about broadly in public, and it introduced people to it. When you see that, you see Dustin Hoffman's portrayal of Charlie Babbitt, Raymond Babbitt. I'm sorry. How accurate and how good of a representation of autism did you feel that movie was?
I think it was a big step in the realization of autism, and I think it helps people understand more. And I think it's good that autism is talked about a lot more in pop culture. And not too long ago, Sesame Street introduced a character, a Muppet with autism, and it will help young children as young as like 3, that's their target age, understand autism. The younger you understand, you hear about autism, the more likely you are to meet someone and really connect with them.
Which is just, I love that. I think what you've done and how public you are, because I totally agree. I think awareness is such a great step for people to interact with people who have autism, to better understand it. And I just love your motto of understand me, support me, love me for who I am. I think it's such a great message in any, just in life in general. So for you, as you look at life, what are, I know you've talked about game shows, maybe being a host. What are your goals? What would you love to do, Andrew?
Well, of course, I would love to host my own game show.
Just don't come after my show, okay?
I would love to join you and Akbar in that host tower. But you know, everybody has goals. My goal is not only to be a game show host, but also hopefully to meet a lot more celebrities.
Who's your big one?
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And also, another one that I'd love to meet, Dwayne Johnson on the Titan Games.
The Rock! He's so good.
The Titan Games. And because it's executive produced by the amazing Mr. Arthur Smith.
Yes, it is.
Executive produces American Ninja Warrior.
Yes, it is. In the family.
Yeah, I mean, it's great.
So, Andrew, what is it about game shows that appeals to you so much?
I just like, it's unscripted TV. Like most TV these days are comedies and dramas, but game shows, for the most part, are family entertainment. And I think that game shows like American Ninja Warrior and the Titan Games, as well as Mental Samurai, which is also executive produced by Arthur Smith, they are shows that the entire family can watch, even in prime time.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. You're doing a commercial for us, Andrew. You're a perfect game show host. So as part of being our honoree on Warrior Wednesday, we donate $250 to the charity of your choice. What charity would you like to receive that money?
I would like the $250 to go to Autism Speaks, but if possible, I have a walk now for Autism Speaks page. The Los Angeles Autism Speaks walk is this Saturday at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, and please donate to my team Andrew Hain, and it would be amazing. The more money that you can donate, no matter how big, no matter how small, it would make a huge difference.
Done. Well, that's where the $250 will go, and we'll encourage other people to join in supporting you. So I always love to give our honoree the last word. Andrew, you talk about, for people to understand you, obviously we know how to support you. What would you want to say to people so they can better understand you and better understand autism?
Just, along the way, you'll run into people with autism, and if you've never had any experience. As I said earlier, just as I said, you should understand them, support them, accept them, and love them for who they are. Know that they have challenges. Everyone has challenges. There is no such thing as a normal person. We all have challenges, and we're always learning new things every single day until our very last breath.
That is beautiful, Andrew. And that is why you are an American Ninja Warrior.
Ninja Warrior and a Titan.
You truly are, my friend. I want to thank you again so much for coming on here and sharing your story, and encourage everybody to support this young man to learn more about autism. And like I tell everybody when I end, keep fighting.